my channel. This is Maria, and today we're going to be doing a reverse canvas project. I'm going to dedicate today's video to the incomparable Claire Wineland, who has inspired an entire community of cystic fibrosis patients to, to give of themselves, to take care of their bodies, to take care of their health, to, just live every single day to its fullest. And a little bit about her, she was born with cystic fibrosis like most of us are. And, earlier in her years, she just suffered a lot of complications. Lung issues were pretty severe. She had extensive lung damage at an early age, which only helped to, shorten her lifespan. And, she kept being told that her life expectancy is 5, then 10, then 15, then 20. And, as CF progressed in its research and new treatments were developed, her life expectancy would be pushed out even further. One of the greatest things about her was that when she was 13 years old, she started her own foundation, the Claire's Place Foundation. At that time, she went in for a very routine operation, and unfortunately she caught a blood infection, and she was put in a medically induced coma for nearly 3 weeks. She was put on a respirator, which was not working well for her, and so they decided to put her on an oscillating machine, which is kind of like a mechanical lung or heart and lung machine. And the chances of someone coming off of that are pretty slim to begin with, but the chances of someone with cystic fibrosis coming off of that were 0. Prior to Claire, nobody had survived that, and everything was looking real grim for them. And but lo and behold, she pulled a miracle, and just incredible recovery that she had. She was able to come off the oscillating machine. She did have a very long and arduous recovery. She had to learn to walk, to talk, to eat, to bathe, everything. And there's a lot of work that needed to be done in order for her to recover. And one of the things that her mother struggled with was, do I go to the hospital to be with my sick daughter, or do I go to work to be able to pay the light bill? And these were choices that were, that's something that she had to live with every day. No family really needs to be dealing with that. You should be with your child. And, when Claire recovered from that coma, there was a difference in her. Her parents always say that she kind of became like this old soul, and she had a wisdom about her. And, she just had this great understanding of the challenges that her parents had to go through, both emotionally and financially, and that other families didn't have the support that they had, with their extended friends and family. And so she set out to create this foundation, and this foundation has helped hundreds of families be there for their children through all of their cystic fibrosis treatments. And, that's something to accomplish at 13, when most of us are thinking about, dolls and Transformers and going to the mall and, dyeing our hair pink and getting our ears pierced and all that kind of stuff. Here she is, Claire, and she's setting up a foundation. Amazing insight for someone her age. And then at 14, she started doing speaking engagements to raise money and raise awareness for cystic fibrosis. She loved doing that. One of the things that was pivotal to her talks was the fact that she really wanted people to look at us differently, not just like, oh, they're sick, but to look at us as people who were very capable, who were smart, who were happy, who were full of joy, who had something to contribute to this world despite the fact that we're sick. She really wanted to make sure to change hospital rooms from cold and sterile, drabby places to something that's more of a living room, because this is where we would do most of our living, is in these hospital rooms. We weren't there to just die. We were there to get better, and we were there to live our lives. And one of the best things about her was that she said that some of the best memories she has been of her being in the hospital. One in particular was, her and her father having a jam session, and she recorded that, and it was one of her favorite moments, and it's a memory that they'll have forever. And obviously with cystic fibrosis, our disease is degenerative, and it's progressive, meaning as we get older, our function degrades, and our disease progresses even further. And with all the damage she had had at such early ages, she really started to struggle this last year, and her health pretty much plummeted. And she was faced with a very real decision. Does she get on does she just accept her fate? And they keep telling her she's only got like a year or two to live, and and do that. And she was very prepared to do that. She was very prepared to just accept it. But then as she got closer and closer to that reality, she just knew she had so much more to give, and she wanted to do so much more with her life. So she chose life, and she got on the double lung transplant list. And she had a bumpy road getting on that list, and believe you me, it's not easy. I mean, you have to kind of be sick enough to need lungs, but you have to be healthy enough to survive the surgery. It's like an oxymoron, So, that was a delicate balance there. But on August 26th, she got the call for lungs, and I think the entire CF community was elated to be able to see Claire go through that, and to have the hope of coming out of the other side, and continue to give so much of herself to others. We were cheering for her, we were rooting for her, we were in that waiting room with her, if not physically, in spirit. With her whole family, we were sitting there waiting, and I know that Melissa Yeager, her mother, and her father, John Wineland, felt that presence from all of us there. And there was a lot of love in that room. And she came out of that transplant doing real well. The lungs were in, everybody was breathing good, they were working, they were elated to see her, have such a great response. And unfortunately, within 24 hours, she had a blood clot that caused a stroke, and they wouldn't know the extent of damage to her brain. They went in with 2 different brain surgeries to alleviate the pressure in her brain. It's just too many surgeries all at once for a little frail body like hers to really survive that. And her parents made the decision on September 2nd to let her go to the Lord. And I speak for all of us when I say that we were heartbroken in that room, because she just meant so much to us. She really, really did. And, she lived a life that not only she was proud of, but her parents were proud of, her friends were proud of, and all of us in this community are proud of every single day. She really embodied that. And so today, this video, I'm dedicating to Claire. And I'm going to show you how to do this. And I am also going to be creating quite a few of them and putting them on our website. And if you happen to buy one, all of the proceeds will go to Claire's Place Foundation as my thank you to her. It's a very small thing I can do, but it's something I can do. And, I hope to be able to, even if I just get an ounce of that vigor, that desire, that spice for life that she had, I'd be very happy. And I'd hope to make a difference the way that she did in some small way. So what we're going to do today is we're going to, have one of her favorite quotes, which has to do with, what you can and cannot control. And we're going to take this $2 canvas, about $2, $2, $3. You can get them at Michael's, Joann's, Walmart, Target, Hobby Lobby, etc. I'm going to turn this canvas, okay, into something like this. This is one of my favorite verses from the Bible. It's from Corinthians. And it's so true because the greatest of these is love. And Claire, and to her family, you guys have a lot of love that surrounds you every day. Every day we're praying with you, we're praying for you, we're grieving with you, and we really will miss her. So let me show you what is her quote that we're going to be doing. What's this? Living a life worth living is something you can control. Because it's true. We can't control when we're going to die. I mean, they could cure CF tomorrow, and I could walk out there and get struck by lightning, right? So crazy as that sounds, it's true. We cannot control that. There's so many aspects of our life that we can't control. We can't control our diseases. We can't control, our relationships. We can't control anything, But we can control what we do with our life. And that is really the point that Claire was making. And so we're going to take this and we're going to frame it. And I will be selling the finished products, but I will also, for those of you that want to follow this project along and kind of do it yourselves, I will be also selling this vinyl, because this is actual heat transfer vinyl that you heat transfer onto your canvas. So I will be selling that as well. And like I said, all proceeds, 100%, will go to Claire's Place Foundation. So let's get started with this project, huh? Welcome to my craft table here, and I'm going to go over the different types of materials that I have here that we're going to use, and all the tools and utilities that we will be using in this project. Now, a reverse canvas is really just taking the canvas, lifting the canvas off of the frame, and there's a frame that is part of the canvas itself, and then basically doing a heat transfer vinyl onto the canvas of your choice. You could also do stenciling, you could do freehand art if you're really good with that, which we can do as well. You'll see some of those projects on my channel. And anything that you would want to do, you can do it, and then have this nice frame that comes with the canvas rather cheaply, and then just do it up, right? You can stain it, you can paint it, anything that you want to do with it. So a couple things that you're going to need is you're going to need a staple remover. This is by Boss Stitch here, and because you want to remove the canvas from the frame, okay? And then you are going to need, and I definitely suggest getting some gloves. I use these exam gloves here from CVS, because they kind of, when you put them on, they're like second skin. You don't feel like you have gloves on, which is great. I use that for a lot of my projects. You're going to want some wipes to wipe down anything that comes onto your surface. And in some instances, we use baby wipes. That's completely acceptable as well. You're going to need a sponge brush like this one. These actually are pretty cheap. I'm going to leave links to all of these tools down in the description of this video. You are also going to want to have these, this particular sawtooth framer, so that you can, once you're done, you can then, you're going to screw that into the frame so that you can then hang your picture if you'd like. You can also do, put in some twine as well, and I can show you how to do that as well. And then sometimes when you pull apart these canvases, the frame is kind of loose and not well jointed together, so you might need a glue gun. Here I have this glue gun by Blue Smart. And you just glue that frame together as needed. I'll show you what that is, what that's like too. And then so we're going to be using a staining by Minwax. This one here is in classic gray, and what I use to stir those are these popsicle sticks. You can use, I have here a set of the wider ones here, but you can use just regular popsicle sticks. Sometimes I use chopsticks as well, especially if it's like a bigger can of paint for some of my other projects, and I need it to be longer for me to stir. You're gonna want to stir these. So once you open them, they do have an odor. They're not odorless. So if you're sensitive and if you're a CF patient, the other thing you're going to need is one of these. Okay? This one here is by Cured. I'll leave links to the description for this. They come in a box of 10. I keep them around. I am not that sensitive to this smell, but I am sensitive to other smells. And it differs for all the CF patients out there, what you are sensitive to or not. And then, you can have, this here is a clear gloss. So once you stain your frame and you let that dry, you can then put on your clear gloss and make it like a nice glossy finish to it, which is really nice, really pretty. And these come in different colors. Like this one's mahogany, red mahogany. This one is ebony, which is a much darker color. And this one, I haven't opened this one yet, but it's pickled oak. And the one I'm using today is actually classic gray. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on. And then the other thing that I want to make sure you guys get is this plastic sheeting that you can get at Home Depot, by the way. And Amazon has it as well. I'll put links in the description for that. But it does protect your surface real nice. So you definitely want to be able to do that and protect your surface as best you can. You might want to wear an apron so that you're not spotting anything onto yourself. You want to make sure you have something to stir your stain with. And you want to make sure it's a nice, even consistency so that when you pull that stick out, you see how there's some stuff at the bottom there. You want to make sure that the entire thing is not translucent. It's gray. What we want to do, and before I even go this route, is we want to start by removing the staples off of the canvas. Now, with this, you can use one of these. You can also use the one that's a claw, although it's a little bit more awkward, a little bit more time-consuming. This is better. And they're about the same price, so I'll leave links to both of those. When you are digging at the staples, you want to make sure you keep your hands as far away from, don't put your fingers like this. You want to keep your hands as far away as you can, and you want to dig deep into that. And so you want to be able to, put your staples on side. So you want to dig, you want to keep your fingers away from the area you're currently working in, okay? So that you want to hold down your frame, but you want to not be near it, because if you slip, you could hurt your fingers or whatever. If you slip, and that does happen. So you have to be very careful when you're doing this. And just keep your fingers away from the current staple that you are trying to pull up. And you want to, get nice in there. Pull that out. So this one has a little magnet on it, so it's really great. So you don't want to go like this. You don't want to have your fingers you want to keep that pretty far away. And I'm going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys here so that you're not watching me remove all the staples from this canvas. But you are going to need a staple gun in order to put your finished canvas back onto your stained frame. So you will need a staple gun to do that. You can use a hot glue gun for that as well. So whatever you have,
will work, and I will definitely leave links in the description.
Now we are going to go ahead and remove this canvas. And it should come off pretty easy. It's not glued down or anything, it's just stapled. And it's nice and taut on there. But once you remove it, you'll see this is where the staples are, so you have these marks. But if you turn it over, it's completely flat. And it's got this nice bevel edge, okay, which makes it such a great little thing for, you know, for a frame. That's what gives it like its great look, is that frame. And you have this canvas, and what you want to do with the canvas is you want to set your heat transfer vinyl on it, and then you're going to iron that heat transfer vinyl on. And I will definitely leave instructions and heating and time instructions for that down below as well. So since I did that ahead of time because we want to, you know, do this, right? We're going to be putting this on. And I thought, you know, since the lettering is in black and some of these letters are in purple, and what I like to call the CF purple, which is our color is purple, so all our ribbons and everything are purple. You know, we can match that. So I could either do it in black or I could do it in gray. I'm going to do one in gray, but I also have one in black. And I'm going to go ahead and start staining this. And here, let me put this on this side. And here, what we want to do is we're going to dip the brush in, get it nice and saturated, okay? And then we're going to start to stain that. And as you can see, with a sponge brush, it really does kind of get into the crevices of everything. So I really love having these types of brushes around in my toolbox.
And once again, I'm going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys so that you are not watching me, well, literally watching paint dry, right? Who am I kidding? Who wants to do that? So you want to make sure that everything's thoroughly coated. You want to make sure you get into the crevices of everything, and a sponge brush really helps you do that. So you know, once you're finished, you can see, and this is one of the reasons why, as you can see clearly in this video, I always advocate for having that plastic sheeting. You know, it does kind of get everywhere, and I think I put 2 coats on this particular frame, but yeah, we did get it everywhere, so be careful with that. And you can get a couple of uses out of your sponge brush here, but after like 2 uses, it tends to kind of be pretty flimsy, but they're cheap enough to be able to toss them out. I give them 2 uses and I toss them out. And then I make sure that I use a Ziploc bag for my stains, and I make sure to close that down. We want to make sure that you lock it down. And that's just extra protection in case things get knocked out and maybe something leaks, and it also keeps the odors in. And then what I did here was I actually took a hammer, and you want to make sure you tap that tin can down, the lid on that down onto the tin can so that, you know, it's nice and secure.
Okay, so you're going to take a little hammer and you're just going to make sure you tap that closed. All right, so we have that one ready. This is going to go in the garbage, so is this. We're going to move this over. And then what I do is I actually take the plastic sheathing, I wrap it up in it like this, and then I store it with that sheathing. Now that we have gotten through, you know, I kind of check my area, just make sure there's no spots or anything, and I give it a good wipe down with a wipe here. I love this Fiskars mat. It's such a a great mat because it's nice and big. Okay. You want to make sure your fingers are clean as well. Now, here I have a frame I've done in the ebony. And what I did to it was I took sandpaper and I weathered it so that this part of it kind of looks a little weathered. Now, I can go ahead and put some clear coating on it if I wanted to, and that would definitely make it pop out a little more, and it would really look very nice. But for the sake of this tutorial, what I want to make sure that I address is that sometimes these frames, as you can see here, they come apart, right? So that's where your hot glue gun comes in. This is kind of heating up right now. And we're going to go ahead and fix that and make sure that that's glued together.
And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and speed this up for you guys. But what you want to do is you want to make sure you get all the corners all glued up together. And you want to make sure that you're wiping off any excess glue. And then once you get it all together and done, what I like to do is give it a few little taps with a hammer on the corners, just so that everything's nice and secure.
Now, we can do the actual framing. So what I like to do here is, what you want to do is you want to kind of, look for how you want that to set. And then what I like to do is you can trace it with like a pencil. What we have here is I actually have the Cricut X-Acto knife, which is, really sharp. So be careful with these. Make sure you always put the safety back on it. You can use that. You can use a scissor. If you don't have any of these other tools, you can use a scissor. You can use a rotary cutter. You definitely want to make sure that while it's not in use, you've got that lock on, especially if you have children around. So other than that, it's good to go. So what I like to do here is I like to make sure that my frame is nice and even. Okay. And then what I like to do is I like to use my rotary cutter.
And just remember, you can trace this with a pencil and cut it with scissors. That should work just fine.
And now we basically turn it around, right? And you are going to have that perfectly done there. Now, like I said, you could do this with hot glue so that you can glue the canvas. You can basically take your glue gun and then you're just going to go all the way around and then place your canvas on top of it. Or, like me, which I like to do this, so this one's probably my favorite just because you get it nice and taut. As I take it, I just staple that right back on. So the first thing that I want to do is you want to, you want to make sure it's facing the right way. And then you're just going to get the corners.
And once you staple the four corners, check it, make sure it's centered, and you like it.
This looks pretty good to me. Maybe could have done a little better with it, but that's okay. And then what I'd like to do is then kind of like that every inch and a half, you put back these staples.
And just make sure before you staple it all around, it's nice and centered.
But I can actually just take it and just kind of go like this. Now, you can do that with the rotary if you're good at this. You want to make sure you stay on the outer side of the staples, obviously, right? So,
and just be careful with that rotary tool. Make sure to stay on the right side.
So there we go. And now we have our framed canvas. And that, my friends, is reverse canvas in a nutshell. Okay, and then what you want to do with the sawtooth here, okay, so you want to make sure you get a regular screwdriver and in order to do that. So you don't want to use your electric drills. It will ruin the frame. This is not very strong wood, so you want to make sure that you're getting it. Now, these saw teeth down here are going to be facing down, and what you want to do is you want to try to, like, you know, get it onto the frame itself here, and you know, you want to make sure it's as straight as it can be. And what I'd like to do is I take this here and we are going to drill that in.
And as we drill this in, just remember there are other options to display your picture.
But this is pretty secure, and it should be good enough for a nail. There you guys have it. This is my ode to Claire. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please make sure to leave me any questions that you may have down below. I'm going to link all of these things that I have here. I'm going to link them from Amazon. And, you know, we'll see you the next time we have a project. Remember, live a life worth living.